Hi friends, Astrologer Joe here, and I'm doing this quick update video because new information has been coming out on the forums and people have been sending me stuff, so I'm going over it. And so this one I've titled Arizona Disasters Coming Soon, ? And it sure looks that way because if you remember a couple of weeks ago on my live stream, I said that Arizona was a state to watch. My spidey senses were just going off the charts with information, or something was not right. And I said this about a year ago, less than a year ago. I said Arizona is a state to watch because Arizona is an Aquarian state. And in November, Pluto goes into Aquarius. And I've got the chart for Arizona here, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So I'll go over some of the astrology as well. So I'm basing this between, my intuition and the astrology, and this is what I'm coming up with. Now, of course, all of this information, is just speculation. It's possibilities, and I don't want to see anything happen to any state for that matter. But because we're in a very special year, and there's this election going on this next month, there is a possibility of this. And so let me tell you what I've got, the information that I've got, some of the information here. So let's move forward. Anyway, if you want to see this video, I left a link down below. It's about the 8-minute mark, 8:29. I start talking about Arizona, and I talked about the Palo Verde nuclear power plant. And so this was, just an eerie feeling. Every time I drive by that place on the highway, I just get the sense something's not right over here. And maybe I'm picking up something that may happen in the future. And I did this same exact thing, and not a lot of people know this. I've only told my close friends. I used to make deliveries in New York City, right by the World Trade Centers. And every time I went there, I got this weird feeling of like fires on the highest floors. And I always wondered, what would happen if there were fires at the top of those buildings? How would they put them out? How would the firefighters get up there, and so on and so forth? So in other words, my spidey senses were picking up on this disaster that was to come. And this was in 2000, I think it was 1999, 2000 or so. And then in 2001, when, the disasters hit the World Trade Centers, I said, oh my God, that's what I was picking up, a year and a half to 2 years out. So again, the information is just there. It's a timeline. It's a possibility, and we could change the future. So this is why I also put this stuff out, is because if enough of us are paying attention and we say, no, we don't want this reality, we don't want these disasters, we could literally change them, especially when we bring to light the psychopaths that are doing this behind the scenes. So anyway, this Palo Verde power plant is something to pay attention to because information is coming out. So here, I put this post out on YouTube and all over the social media platforms. A couple of days ago, Dabu7 put this out. Now, if you don't know who Dabu7 is, I've been following him for years. I had a friend of mine who was really close with him, and they used to talk all the time. And, there was a lot of speculation, but, basically on the same page that people behind the scenes are pulling the strings, and they're making all kinds of weird moves to take over the society, to put us on digital currency, and basically take away our freedoms. So he's got a lot of credibility. Like anybody else on the internet, the accuracy rating is only about 75 to 80%. Okay, even including myself. That's about it. So all we do is, especially the truth seeker community, we try and triangulate information and see what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. Is it hogwash? Is somebody just trying to get information out there, or are they just basically getting it out there to get more views, and so on and so forth? Now, he put this out a couple of days ago, and if you notice, there's the title there. And I'm going to be careful about what I say. This is the problem right now with all of these social media platforms. And so he's basically suggesting that there's some sort of cyber attack coming on election day. And in the description field, and by the way, I left that link down below, this is what he writes, okay? And so you could see here, this is where he's getting the information, and you could try Googling it, but I'm going to tell you, friends, somebody is scrubbing the internet at an alarming rate. Either the AI is doing it, or some people behind the scenes in these alphabet agencies are scrubbing the internet as fast as the information is put up on the forums. and it's getting more and more difficult to find any real information. And so this is, you could read this for yourself, you could stop it, take a screenshot, but he's suggesting on election day they're running some sort of exercise. If you've been following this stuff for a while, it's just incredible how many exercises, quote unquote, have been going on the day of an event. And that happened on 9/11. That happened on 7/7 bombings in London. It's happened so many times. And so there is just some weirdness going on there. So anyway, he put this out. I left the video. It's a short video. He's just basically announcing what's going on. But there is another video here by Mike Adams from Health Ranger. He put this out on his post a couple of days ago, talking about Arizona and the coming infrastructure attacks. Now, this falls in line with what I said 2 weeks ago when my Spidey sensors were picking up on some sort of disaster to power grids or power plants or internet or something along those lines. And so he's putting it out as well, but he's also got more evidence because now Dave Hodges, who's been around for many years and has very, very good contacts. I've been listening to Dave off and on for many years, but here's an interview you want to listen to, and I left the link down below. His insiders, again, take everything with a grain of salt, basically told him, yes, Arizona, it was going to be either Arizona or Texas that was going to be hit. And so now they're suggesting it's going to be Arizona. So we are in for a wild ride here in Arizona. So if you folks that live in Arizona, pay attention to where you're going, especially if you're around a lot of crowds like sporting events or concerts or any of that stuff. And you start seeing weird anomalies like your cell phone acting weird. Because they talk about how they're going to proceed with these attacks, and they're all going to be electronic, EMP, directed energy weapons. So, I mean, we're talking about a new type of terrorism here, which, those of us that have been following this stuff know that this has been around for many years, and this is what they're doing. But anyway, I left this down below. So we have these two folks here that are coming out with, again, information. It's just information. Take it with a grain of salt. And Dabu7 also announcing it around the same time on the forums. So again, we'll see. Now, why do I give this any credibility? Because of the astrology. The astrology for the 23rd, this is today. I just wanted to show you what I'm talking about here and why the energy is so wonky and so weird. Now, here's the state of Arizona. It was created on February 14, 1912. I just used 12 p.m. sunrise chart, which puts the sun right on the ascendant. Today, as I'm doing this video, we have the sun in Scorpio squaring Uranus in Aquarius. So we have right there, we have a square. In astrology, that's a tough alignment. Sun squares Uranus. So we have that first one. But look at the second one here. Pluto conjunct natal Uranus exactly on November 19th. As the energy is coming in and as this Pluto makes its transition into Aquarius, it's going to be smack dab right on Uranus. Now, you astrologers out there, those of you who understand astrology, anytime Uranus and Pluto are conjunct or making tough alignments or any type of alignments, there's usually a major event that occurs around that period of time. Since this is the Arizona state chart right there in the middle, and these are the transits for today, yes, I would have to say Arizona is absolutely a state to watch in the next couple of weeks, even the next couple of days. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Because the energy is ramping up tighter and tighter. And as these alignments become, really hard and hard aspects, there is the possibility of some event taking place. Now, it could also be as we go into the election, if we even have an election, as I've been saying all along, or maybe there's a delay or there's confusion. Arizona may be front and center in all of this nonsense. But let's look at some other stuff, some of the other alignments. Mars is opposing Pluto exactly on, it's actually November the 3rd, on the 2nd and 3rd, it's almost exact opposing Pluto, okay? And so we also have, in the chart for the U.S., we have transiting Uranus and Jupiter in the 4th house, which represents foundation, land, real estate, emotions, and both of them are in retrograde. See the little R right there? Which means backwards, not feeling up to par, the energy's not as strong. and they're in the 4th house of Arizona's chart, having to do with the foundation. So something on the land, something in the state, within the state boundaries could take effect here. So you could see the astrology is indicating something that's not right here, something transformational, especially this alignment. This is huge right here, friends. Okay, so you could look it up for yourself. What does Uranus conjunct Pluto mean? In Aquarius, the sign of sudden changes, disasters, explosions, electricity, people. And so this is a very telling sign here for all of this energy that's coming in. And of course, the sun will keep moving 1 degree per day, and it'll keep going through Scorpio, and it'll be squaring Mercury, and then eventually it'll be squaring the sun. So sun squaring sun, Mercury squaring sun. These are all possibilities of some event taking place having to do with technology, information, that comes out of this state. So this is why I said this about a year ago. I said to watch Arizona. This is going to be a very tricky time. So let's do our best to keep a high vibration, stay positive, pay attention. Like I said, if you're going to big events, and notice what's going on. Weird trucks that are sitting parked out there somewhere, strange people doing weird things, or technology acting up. These are going to be indicators. All right, so let's continue here. I've got some other stuff I want to show you. Now, also on the 23rd, Mars opposes Pluto exact in the United States' chart from October 27th through the 28th. So again, we're in that weird, wonky, turbulent time. Mars and Pluto can represent destruction, chaos, fighting, arguments. It's one of the strongest alignments in astrology that is bound for conflict. Okay, and so we're all feeling edgy these days, me included. I have to muster up enough energy to get stuff done. It's just a weird energy, weird dynamic. So again, the 27th through the 28th, that Mars will be exactly opposing the natal Pluto in the United States at 27 degrees. So pay attention. There could be events, could be stock market issues, could be, something happens on another power grid, or another so-called natural disaster. Yeah, natural. Anyway, so this is what I'm seeing astrologically, but there's a little bit more here. Let's go to that 27th date, and I want to show you something else. Venus will conjunct the ascendant. Now, here's Venus at 12 degrees exactly on the United States' chart at 12 degrees. And this is in the evening of 9:20. But again, the 27th, the Sunday, really looks weird. Okay, the moon begins to square Venus earlier in the day, which means it'll be somewhere around here, 12 degrees. Probably, I would say, mid-afternoon. It'll be exactly squaring the Venus, and that's important because when we have squares are tough alignments in astrology, they tend to trigger things. But look at everything else that's going on here. Look at Mars making alignments to 3 placements. The United States is Pluto, the United States is Uranus, and the transiting Neptune. This is a high energy, friends. This is a lot of intense energy on the 27th. So I got it for Washington, but obviously it should have been for for Arizona. But it still could affect any other parts of the country because this is the United States' chart. So we're looking at some heavy energy coming in on the 27th and 28th. So again, pay attention. I'm just showing you some of the astrology and how it works. These are the dynamics of the energy and how they move symbolically. That's all it is. Take everything with a grain of salt. Now, we also have something else that's really interesting on November the 3rd. And I've been talking about this day for a while. Mars is exactly opposing Pluto, which is chaotic enough as it is, but at the same time, Venus is opposing Jupiter. And the Earth is sitting right smack dab in the middle over here. And so we have these 2 very powerful oppositions taking place on the 3rd. So as an astrologer, if I was talking to a client or trying to warn somebody, I would say pay attention from the 27th through the 3rd and the 4th, because the alignments are very tumultuous. They're tension-filled. There is a lot of movement. There's a lot of unpredictability here. The energy is very volatile. That's what I would advise. Okay? And I'd say it's not meant to scare you. It's just meant to prepare you. Because if you know the energy is coming in, it's really strong, you prepare psychologically, emotionally, the whole 9 yards, and you don't feed into any fears. You go, Okay, the energy is going to be strong. I'm going to do the best I can. I know there's a possibility here. And so the problem is you've got so many people in this world that are clueless to who they are and what's really going on. And unfortunately, many of them, what happens is when an event occurs, there's so much emotion and shock and awe that they're releasing into the field, that they cause this ripple effect. It's like a wave, on a coastline. When you have, let's say, an underground or underwater tectonic plate movements, and all of a sudden, maybe an hour later or so, you have this humongous tidal wave hitting a shoreline. It was caused by a sudden burst of energy, a movement, just like a crowd of people. If an event was to occur, they're causing an emotional tidal wave to occur. And all of a sudden, they begin to manifest more and more fear and anxiety and stress. And we already have so much of that here, as you can see here. So it's really those folks that are not aware and not awake and don't understand what's happening that really cause more damage to society. Those of us that are truth seekers and we know who we are, we don't overreact. We prepare, we stay steady, we go, okay, we'll do the best we can. The disaster hits, okay, how do I help? How do we make this, how is this going to move forward? Let's do the best we can without losing our heads. Got it? So this is what I'm feeling here, that this is going to be a real possibility as we go into this next week or so. So pay attention. Of course, November 5th, the big day. And, this all hinges upon if the election goes one way or another. So there's some speculation. They've talked about this, both Dabu7 and Dave and Mike were talking about if Trump were to win, they would release the program to cause disasters. And so we'll see what happens, friends. All the astrologers I know that I listen to and psychics are all saying the same thing. It's a very volatile energy. Something massive is coming that's going to awaken people or bring attention to something. All right, so we'll see what it is. We've been lucky up until now that nothing has occurred major through the last few transits. So I'm grateful for that. But we are not out of the woods. Believe me when I tell you this, we are not out of the woods. So this is what, I found this post online, and I have to post it for many of you that are newbies here. Okay. You've got to understand that there's a group of people, psychopaths, that basically these psychotic families that have been running the planet into the ground for thousands of years, that are still running the show through religions and corporations and governments, that basically have their own interest, and they do these rituals and these, whatever the hell they do. And I'm not going to talk about it here. That's why I have the private community. And this is what they're doing. So I'll let you read this, okay? And it's evil in a sense, but it's even darker than that. And that's what I've discovered over the years. But anyway, I thought this was really interesting. Also, a side note, remember I said watch the water, and I know a lot of people have responded to that. This has been going on for a while. The 17th letter of the alphabet talked about it in 2017, 2018. That's not where I got my information from. I'm just telling you that there's some really strange things going on with the weather, and unfortunately, it's my belief that there's a couple of reasons why this is occurring. One, we have this cosmic energy coming in from space that's actually physically changing the Earth's magnetic fields. So the weather is getting a little strange, but it is absolutely being helped by the dark ones, by the ones manipulating the weather. And there's no doubt about that. They have patents. They've admitted to geoengineering. You could go to geoengineering.org. Dane Winnington does a fantastic job showing you the evidence. And so here's a flood in Italy, in Sicily. Pretty big one. I saw, watched a bunch of videos, and I saw this on the AP. So I left the link down below. You could watch it for yourself. And then there was some other stuff going on too. Let me see here. In France, southeast France, they were having some severe flooding going on. So you see the trend here, friends, with the weather. This is very strange that we're having these intense floods and storms in all these different regions. Okay, it just seems to be more evident there's something going on here. All right, so I just wanted to point that out. Here's Reuters putting it out, how cars were moved around. The water was literally moving everything around here, and you could watch all this yourself. I left the links down for all of this. Anyway, this is why I have the private community friends, where I could talk freely. And again, every Sunday I'm on there with my community. We talk about everything and anything. We dive down the rabbit hole, and everyone gets to interact, and they get to ask me questions, or I go over their charts, whatever it is. We're on the Zoom call every Sunday at 12 noon Arizona time. So consider joining, because I think you'll benefit from it, and you get the weekly astrology. You get stuff that I can't post here on YouTube. All right, so I left the link down below. And always remember, friends, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. That's what it comes down to. I have known this for years. I live this myself, and this is most important here. We're going through a transition, and don't take anything personally, like you're the only one going through it. Everyone's going through it. And so it's part of the Great Awakening, and unfortunately, that includes bringing and shining a light on all the darkness that's been going on this planet, that's been allowed to, come forth. It's been allowed to, happen here. And it's ugly, and it's not pleasant, because the average person, can't think like that. But it's all being exposed. And so 2025, and I will cover that in more videos, is really a big year because of the outer planets. They're all going to be moving into different signs. And when that happens, there's usually significant events that follow it. So 2025 is going to be monumental. Anyway, have a great week, folks. Let's see what happens. Hopefully nothing. And then we'll go from there. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.